Welcome, everyone. We're going to call to order the Caledonia Community School Board of Education meeting for July 25th. If you could all stand for the pledge, please. Thank you. Could we please have roll call?
Asper. Clement.
Here.
Barbara Garcia here. Esich. Morris.
Here.
Seydu.
Here.
White.
Thank you. Before we get started, just so that everybody knows, Dr. Martin could not be with us tonight. He is home with COVID, unfortunately. Julie had a meeting, a family vacation that was scheduled before this meeting was, so she apologizes for her absence as well. If you are here for public comment, we do ask that you fill out a public comment card, and please turn those in at the back of the room. We ask that those are turned in before public speaking starts. Please know that when you speak at the microphone, we do need to make sure that we are hearing you so that it is recorded. You do have 3 minutes to address the board, and we ask that you direct all questions or comments to the board as a whole. And please make sure your contact information's on here in case we need to follow up with you. Thank you. We're going to continue on to 4, which is our consent agenda. We have the June 20th, 2022 meeting minutes. We have the July 2022 personnel report and the July 2022 payables.
I move that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda as presented.
May I have a second? Second by Katie. Are there any questions, revisions, anything on that? No? Can we have roll call, please?
Clement.
Yes.
Barbara Garcia. Yes. Esich.
Yes.
Morris. Seydu.
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. On to 5, reports and information. 5A is bond update. Am I handing that over to Mr. Wilson? Mr. Hess, who would like to lead us?
Good evening, board members. Again, my name is Paul Wills with Plant Moran Cressa, and we're here to give a board update as part of the 2020 bond going forward. So if you recall from the May 2022 presentation, the total bond is $88 million. Unfortunately, the district cannot issue more than that as approved by the voters. So that is kind of our circle of funds, if you will, for all the projects that are being considered going forward. In terms of the summer's work, technology improvements, both infrastructure and devices continue. So Mr. Hubbell's done a great job continuing on with that push. As you're driving, if you looked at the elementary school, you see all the safety cones up there with individuals still working as of 6 o'clock this evening. Mr. Hess has done a great job with the roofing programs going forward, and there actually looks like they'll be wrapped up earlier than anticipated, so well before the start of school going forward. We're actually at a major milestone with the bond. So again, the phase 1, if you remember, is about $15 million of interior improvements, site work, roofing, et cetera. We're really getting into the phase 2, which is the Dutton Elementary and the Caledonia Athletic Complex, which you see renderings up on the board here going forward. So I'm going to start with Dutton Elementary. We did receive bids last week. I want to commend both Tower Pinkster and Chrisman Company for receiving very good bid coverage. So the district does continue to receive a lot of bids. I think we had 5 to 6 bids in every single category going forward. And that does help with, I'll call it the backlog of work going forward. We're actually doing post-bid interviews this week and next week. I'll be reviewing them with the leadership team in the next week and a half going forward. Just so everyone knows, it's about a 60,000 square foot building. So we have not cut the size of the facility to save costs going forward. Our goal is to present that in August, both for a review and for approval. Very similar to what we're doing for the Caledonia Athletic Complex to keep us on schedule for that targeted 2024 fall completion going forward. Switching gears to the Caledonia Community Center, on July 18th, we did receive township approval. So I know a lot of people are like, what's kind of going on with the groundbreaking, and then we're in this holding pattern, if you will. If you remember back from the May presentation, we did confirm the increased square footage, about 47,000 square feet. So again, this is about a 38% increase than was originally anticipated. But if you look at it, it's actually not just a swimming pool. Obviously, there's a resource centers in there. Obviously, the YMCA's activities in there. I do encourage community members to look at the floor plans. I mean, these are amazing floor plans going forward. And as you can imagine, with an increased square footage, you're going to have increased costs. So we did issue addendum 2. So again, one of the things we looked at is going from a structural steel to a precast concrete exterior shell, and that saved the district about $3.5 million. So again, if that voluntary alternate was not taken, we'd really be looking almost a $9 to $10 million additional cost for that program. The good news is actually that project is going to be funded roughly $6.3 million through phase 1 savings and contingencies. You'll see that in your board packet in the letter that kind of describes the $6.3 million of funding going forward. Just so you know, the architectural team, the construction management team, and ourselves, we're on fixed fees, so we don't make more money if you do spend more money. So again, that's our commitment to the goal, to the district, again, within the $88 million going forward. So next steps, again, you hear a lot of material challenges. Roofing costs are almost $40 a foot, so I think the district did a phenomenal job beating that from an acceleration standpoint. We are seeing actually a little bit of a slowdown, so people are looking for that 2024 backlog work. So obviously the 23 calendar is filled up very quickly, but a lot of contractors looking at that summer of 24. How do I create that construction timeframe going forward? We're going to be coming out of the ground, both for the Caledonia Athletic Complex as well as Dutton here in the fall. And right now for phase 3 scope, that's really going to be the 24-25 timeframe, but we're actually recommending the district just hold off on any of that design process until we come out of the grounds for both Dutton and Caledonia Athletic Complex. There's a large contingency for site work. As you can imagine, building on green spaces, you want to make sure you come out of the ground and you don't have any surprises such as bad soils, things of that nature. The district has done a phenomenal job with soil borings, with geotech, with surveying, so we're not anticipating. So again, we'll have a better idea probably sometime in the spring of 23, relative to where we're at those contingencies to really start talking about phase 3 going forward. So again, the good news is in your board packet, you do have the cover letter plus the Rockford construction wrap up for the Caledonia Athletic Complex. And so at that point, I'd like to turn it back over to the board for any questions you have for the bond update, or if Mr. Hess has any additional talking points, thoughts, or comments. So, okay.
Any board questions?
Yes, I think I didn't receive the package.
He's referring to some of the things that were in the community center
Okay.
for that. That's where the Rockford and such. There is no, we did not include one of the documents that he's talking about, and that's okay. We're
Okay.
gonna talk about that as we go forward here.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Tim?
Between now and when we receive the bid packs, are we at risk of any new costs coming through on the community center?
No, actually, we did confirm with every major contractor. I think there's a cabinet contractor that, again, there's not a lot of cabinetry in there, but pretty much everything for the primaries are ready to go. We've actually talked about even starting foundations as quickly as the next couple of weeks, so you'll start to see some moves. And I do commend Rockford. They've done a great job really holding a lot of these costs at bay, knowing that, we're waiting for township approval, which, was a slight delay, but we feel very confident with the numbers that we have from those contractors, which will be outlined on that Rockford account. So,
Thank you.
Anything more?
thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll just step up to a gentle part 2 of that for my part. Paul referenced pausing with any of the future work that we have going on, and I think that's important to recognize right now. As we bring Dutton Elementary and the Caledonia Community Center out of the ground, we want to stabilize those costs and make sure that we're in the right place so that we can move forward with other things that we have remaining. We're going to compile a list of everything that's remaining on the bond plan and work with you to make some decisions about what we're going to complete, seeing as these two projects are probably going to be close to $12 million combined over budget. So we need to be intelligent, we need to be thoughtful, we need to do the right thing, but we need to make sure that you understand that we are pausing on any future expenditures. We're not starting any of the next big projects until we know exactly where we are and you are comfortable with it.
Understood. Thank you. Questions on that? Jason?
When do we anticipate having that list of things that are being paused?
I think we're going to be talking in the September board meeting and the October board meeting.
Anything additional for Mr. Hess? Mr. Wills?
The document that he referenced was a budget document that spoke to exactly what I was talking about. And we chose not to include that because it would muddy the water and confuse things a little bit. So we want to make sure it's clearer and understandable for everyone.
Perfect. When will that document then, will we eventually be getting that document sent out?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
That'll be part of the package for the September, October timeframe.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're going to move forward with 6, which are discussion items. 6A is our PACE representative, Mrs. Dubison.
You hear me now? Perfect. So prior to last month's meeting, I did receive communication from Ms. Erin Davis that she would be interested in learning more, but I wasn't able to connect with her until after the meeting. So I wanted to make sure she knew what she was agreeing to before I brought her name to this group for approval or to recommend her. So I've had great conversation with her. She's really excited about the opportunity to both learn and represent our district on this important committee.
She is a parent of,
Correct. She is a parent of a student with special needs in the community.
in what age group, just out of curiosity?
Elementary.
Elementary. Okay, thank you. All right, we appreciate her willingness to serve in that capacity.
No.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Ms. Dubison on that? No? All right, thank you very much. We are going to move to 6B, which is Caledonia Community Center Bid Pack 2. Mr. Hess.
Okay. Bid Pack 2 was actually officially opened almost 10 months ago. We officially approved the bid pack at the board meeting in October of 2021. However, we are back at a point now where we have had the delays of redesign and the delays getting planning commission approval and getting it all together, and we are finding ourselves with that approximately $6 million budget change. So we thought that might be a good idea to bring it back to the board at this point in time for an approval vote. As I said, we did see a 6-month delay, 6 to 8 month delay, originally from the redesign of the structural of the facility, and then moving forward with the site plan approval. But we are at this point where we are preparing to dig in the dirt and get ready to go. Beyond that, I did attach the original approval with all of the notes and everything, and we have the updated timeline and key analysis on the bids from Brockford as well as Plant Moran's comment to the project. If we, like Paul had said before, if we had stayed with the steel and block construction and not made that pivot at the time, we would be in the area of $9 to $10 million over budget instead of at 6. So I think we are still in a good place. We're holding at a 38% increase, which is unfortunate, but we are at a place where we can begin to move forward and get this building in progress for the public and get it open. We are looking at originally what was going to be a January 2024 opening. We're now moving that to late summer, early fall of 2024. So to reflect the 6 to 8 month delay that we've seen with everything so far. So are there any questions on the status of this project?
Are there, excuse me, are there any other costs that we need to be aware of or any foreseen future?
Foreseeable is a great word. Mr. Wills alluded to, cost doesn't stabilize until you've got a hole in the ground and you've started to actually build. He and I have both, reminisced and recalled wonderful times digging a hole in the ground and finding complete structures, finding foundations, finding a septic system that you didn't know existed. There's a few names for it in the construction industry, but most of them are not very polite. But there are surprises that can be had, and that is one large area that we need to clear the hurdle first and make sure we've stabilized our costs. Beyond that, we don't see anything. As he implied, there are some areas of the business that are slowing down. There are some areas that are still challenging. Example, about a year ago, you could have ordered 16-inch water main and you would have received it the next day on a truck. It's now a 13-month delay. You can order it tomorrow, you'll see it in 13 months. So little surprises like that may pop up, but I believe that everything that we have moving forward is accounted for and at least, in progress to be on order, so we'll get it up for the building.
Jason?
I'm going to restate a little bit just to make sure I understand. So the bids came in and we're about $6.3 million over what was budgeted. But with the additional savings from contingencies and some others, we've made up that 6 point whatever million.
At this point, yes, this project is not going to affect any other projects, but it will take over all of the contingencies that we've saved for the past 2 years. It will take up all of the different savings from interest, from, where we saved money on the parking lots, where I saved money on the roofing, where we saved a lot of things. This is going to eat all that up.
Offer still stands to drive a Bobcat, if I'm just saying.
You just want to do that. I understand that.
Tim?
So this is a point where we got to be very concerned about where we go next. Take a hard look at what our options are, and then weigh in as a board as to what we feel is the right direction to go, both from the small items up to the bigger picture.
Absolutely. So just please keep us in the loop as we move through this, and we'll hope for the best as we start to dig, right?
Keep moving forward.
Very much. At this time, we're going to move on to 7, which is our board and superintendent reports. Our curriculum and learning committee, did you want to report out at least on your dates?
So we did not meet this past meeting with 2 of the board meetings really, really close together. So we'll have another curriculum and learning committee meeting next Tuesday, August 2nd. 7:30 a.m. Yes, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you. On to Finance and Operations Committee.
Thank you. Finance and Operations Committee meeting was held July 21st. It was called to order at 7:37 a.m. without public comment. Dr. Martin discussed the status of the district properties located on Egan and Patterson. The Egan and proposed Dutton property were both revised downward by the developer due to property utility limitations. Egan was revised down from 325,000 to 228,000, and Patterson was revised down from 1 million to $750,000. The 84th Street property sale remains an opportunity and a topic of discussion for the board. Mr. Hess provided an update on both Dutton Elementary and Caledonia Community Center bid packages. The Community Center and Dutton are over budget by 38% due to material and labor cost increases and unexpected site work. Both projects will be a topic of discussion at the July 25th board meeting. Bus driver wages were another topic of discussion and the concern over rising competitive wages. The July Curriculum Committee meeting was canceled. However, Dr. Martin indicated that the social studies curriculum public review process will be extended up to the August 8 board meeting to allow additional time for public comment. In the discussion, the chair shared his personal frustration with the curriculum evaluation process, citing one of the biggest issues appearing to stem from the publisher's end by limiting the board's right to consider the curriculum and online media resources. Meeting adjourned at 8:57 a.m. The next meeting is August 4th, 2022 at 7:30 a.m.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Finance Committee? All right, thank you very much. Any board reports? This is our Adopt a Road week, and I realize all of you have very busy schedules based on the emails that I've received, so I'll follow up with a text message later when I try to compile a date that maybe at least a couple of us can go get it done. So, thank you. Superintendent report. You got us covered there?
I will. As you know, Dr. Martin's out sick tonight, but I'm Daryl Kingsbury, the Assistant Superintendent. And during the summertime, things move pretty quickly, and it's hard to believe that we're approaching about 1 month before school starts. So giving me a dirty look because he needs extra time to get things done on our buildings. But, we are feverishly preparing for our kids to come back in the fall. It's always exciting. There's a lot of work to be done during the summer, and we commend all of our staff that are here during the summer, taking care of all those things that really go unseen, especially our custodial crews and our people in the buildings, just getting those kids prepared and ready to go for the school year when it starts. So as I mentioned, Dr. Martin will have more of an update next meeting, which is August 8th.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask, please make sure all cards are turned in, and we will start with our public comment. Again, you do have 3 minutes to address the board, and we ask that you make sure that we can hear you through the microphone when you do speak. First up, we have Bob Thalen, followed by James, and then Elizabeth.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing me. So 1 year ago, my wife Chris and I saw Dr. Martin in an interview say that he had no evidence of CRT within our school system. So we responded to this board showing evidence that it had. And only one of the school board members approached us to find out whether that teacher or that divisive ideology was still even present in the school system. So we didn't know exactly either, so we decided we would take a look at it as well. So with that, we looked at the PD, we looked at the SEL programming, and now we were looking at the curriculum, which you guys have. To our dismay, we found race gender theory being recommended and incentivized by virtually every government and educational institution that influences our school. That included KISD, Department of Ed, Federal Department of Ed, National Teachers Union, CDC, and now even the USDA. So to be clear, we're not talking about theoretical CRT. What we're talking, that's easily dismissed as a university theory. What we're talking about is the praxis of that theory in forms like DEI, transformative SEL, and things like that have been integrated into otherwise good programs. The term for K-12 education infused with CRT is called culturally responsive teaching, and it was coined by Gloria Ladson Billings. She's a self-described CRT scholar and current member of the Culturally Responsive Learning Advisory Board at SAVAS, the very company that produced the curriculum that you guys are now considering. So she literally wrote the book on bringing CRT into K-12 education, and it's called Critical Race Theory in Education. The superintendent said that there's no CRT in our curriculum, but here it is. We know this because Chris tried to use the curriculum public review process, which looked like it was designed to be difficult. Open building times were limited, not communicated well, so it was just hard to access it, let alone if you were a parent with somebody who's got kids at home. Trying to find time to get in here is nearly impossible. Beyond the several books in the proposed curriculum weren't available for the first 3 weeks, so we couldn't even see those in the times that we were able to get here. And the supplemental resources are not available at all. And those oftentimes are through sources we would consider to be biased, like NPR. Nothing could be viewed or taken outside of the room because the school claimed copyright concerns. I know a little bit about that, and there's no merit to it. SAVAS allows the school and teachers access to the materials to trial run the content. Community access to the materials outside of the room shouldn't have been an issue. We informed the board of our difficulties with the review process, and the board president responded with, as a board, we rely on the expertise to choose the best option, referring to the curriculum committee. The curriculum coordinator also said something very similar to Chris while she was reviewing the materials, and said that his only obligation was to endorse the curriculum committee's recommendation. So therefore, I don't know what the public review process is really for if our input isn't being considered. Is it just virtue signaling, or are you guys going to take a look at it? I hope you do. Regardless, we supplied you with our limited review of the new curriculum, which describes the troubling issues that we found. We request you reject the purchase of it until concerns about factual inaccuracies and the impact of CRT advisor on the SAVAS material is addressed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have James, followed by Elizabeth.
My name is James Earnest. I spent 2 hours today reviewing the social studies books that have been recommended for adoption. Had no problem getting in here. I have a PhD in the history of Christian life and thought, and I've worked full-time in academic publishing since 1996. I have no special expertise in sociology, psychology, geography, or economics. I was interested primarily in the content of the history volumes. I spent most of my time in the American history volume, less time in the world history volume. These books are published by one of the leading educational publishers. The authors and the boards of advisors have appropriate credentials from recognized universities, private universities like Harvard, public universities like Michigan State, religiously affiliated universities like Baylor and Brigham Young, also numerous smaller universities and colleges. In the U.S. history volume, I read the pre-Civil War section and the section on Reconstruction, then the presidencies from Reagan through Trump. I found straightforward, factual narration of events without bias. Partisan disagreements are covered by reporting what both Democrats and Republicans said or thought. Judgments are not made. This is not a critical book. It is also not a social history or a people's history or a history from below. It is structured largely according to presidencies and wars. In this sense, it is an old-fashioned presentation. But along the way, it describes major developments in society. The book is generously illustrated with photographs. Graphs and tables are used well to clarify information. Important primary texts are included throughout. Questions for students to consider are not leading questions. They invite students to ask why questions for themselves. I spent less time on the world history book. I read the section on the origins of Christianity where I have academic expertise. I saw a couple of very minor inaccuracies. In any book trying to cover the whole history of the world, experts in a particular small slice of history will find things to quibble with. Again, I found no bias. If the book as a whole is like the section that I read closely, it is a good book. My review of the history volumes inclines me to accept, without qualms, the judgment of the professional educators who have selected this curriculum for our district. I will add, picking through the long lists of consultants for a book to find one to criticize for debatable reasons having nothing to do with the book is not an intelligent or useful way to review a textbook. Thank you.
Thank you. Elizabeth?
Goodness. It's a little better without the mask. Okay. Hello, my name is Elizabeth Alexander. Our family moved to Caledonia in 1999. My daughter and son both attended Caledonia Community Schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. My son is my youngest, and he graduated in 2019. I have worked in the Caledonia Community School District in a support position since 2007. I was the enrichment coordinator at both Duncan Lake and Craft Meadows for several years. In 2019, I moved to the position of library clerk at Craft Meadows. I have a master's degree in education and over 20 years experience working with middle school age children in either a teaching capacity or as support staff. Over the past 2 years, I have witnessed our school board, administrators, teachers, and support staff navigate an extremely stressful and confusing time in education with incredible professionalism and consideration for all of our Caledonia families and students. But I'm not surprised. My experience as a parent and employee over the many years is that this district has some of the most caring teachers, administrators, counselors, custodians, bus drivers, and support staff. They strive to know and support our students to the best of their abilities every day. In fact, I think that is our district's greatest strength. I also believe that our teachers and administrators work diligently to provide curriculum that meets the academic needs of our students and provides great engagement, while also following the rigorous guidelines mandated by the state and federal departments of education. The teams who select the tools and curriculum used in the classrooms are experts in their field who have specialized in these subjects and grades they teach. I believe there are some teachers in the audience today who taught my children. I would like to thank them for the care and teaching they provided. They are thriving as young adults, and they had a part in that. Finally, I would like to thank all of you on the school board for everything you have done for our staff and our Caledonia families, especially over the past 2 crazy years.
Thank you very much. At this time, we are going to, as a board, we're going to move into closed session. This is a closed session that is informational. Oh, yeah, we won't do that yet. We're going to go backwards. Thank you. I was so caught up in the public speaking, so. We're going to do our action items first, which is 9A, which is our PACE representative.
I move that the board approve the nomination of Aaron Davis as CCS PACE representative for a 3-year term beginning August 2022 through July 2025.
May I have a second, please? Second by Kyle. Any further questions or comments on that? Can we have roll call, please?
Clement.
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes. Isich. Morris. Sadu.
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. And again, please thank her for us. On to 9B, which is Caledonia Community Center Bid Pack 2.
I move that the board approve Rockford Construction, Inc. to enter into contracts with contractors per recommendation documents for the construction of the Caledonia Community Center.
May I have a second?
Second.
By Kyle. Any further questions for Mr. Hess on that? All right, could we please have roll call?
Clement.
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes. Isich.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Sadu.
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. Now Jason's told me we can go do the closed session route. So at this point in time, and I apologize, the weather's nice. I'm just trying to get you all out of here faster. So this is a closed session that is informational only for the board. There is no planned action coming out of closed session, just so that you're all aware. Okay, thank you. And during the time that we're gone, will the recording be left on? Okay, we're going to need a motion to go into closed session.
I move that the board convene in closed session under the Open Meeting Act, MCL 15.268, paragraph 1H, to consider a letter from its attorneys dated July 20th, 2022, for the reason that the letter is exempt from disclosure under state law due to attorney-client privilege.
Second.
Second by Kyle. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Clement.
Yes.
Barbara Garcia, yes. Isich.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Sadu.
Yes.
White.
Yes, motion carries. Thank you. We are coming out of closed session at 7:23. There's no action to be taken, so I just need a motion to adjourn.
Move.
First by Kyle, second. Second by Katie. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, we're all set. Thank you.